Welcome back to the channel. So today I want to talk about refreshing bolts, because on all of the CT70s that I've built so far, for the most part, when I had a bolt that wasn't in good condition, I just replaced it with a stainless steel bolt. It's pretty simple, relatively inexpensive, and doesn't require any work, because a lot of the bolts I have, like this one, has a lot of corrosion, and if you get the corrosion off, sandblast it, and then polish it back up, then it's bare metal and pretty susceptible to rusting again very quickly. I've tried clear coating it, but then when you use a tool against the nut, it has edges that rust. Even if it's not getting wet, just the humidity, at least when I was in Florida, probably here in Southern California too, starts to rust. So again, I always just replace bolts. Even bolts like this one that Honda still produces, instead of bothering to refresh it, I just buy a brand new one. And it also made the builds kind of expensive. Anyway, I found a process to very easily re-zinc it yourself. So this is the swing arm bolt that I sandblasted, and then using a process with parts, for the most part that I had at home, I had to get 2 bars of zinc, which cost about $10. And that was it to be able to plate this myself. So pretty excited about the process, and I wanted to take you through how to turn a bolt that looks like this into something that looks like this. So I've actually only done that single bolt so far, so I figured in this I might as well try a few different pieces. I am working on my silver tag CT70 that you see back there, and actually I have somebody that's going to be sending me a lot of the original bolts, so I figured I might as well perfect the process before I start working on those. But I thought I'd try a few different things. I've got the engine hanger bolts that in this case are in good shape, just a bit rusty. I have an engine mount piece. Again, these are all things that Honda still sells, but if I could refresh these myself, it would save quite a bit of money. And I've got that rear bracket that holds the hub to prevent it from spinning. This one's really rusty, so interested to see how this one turns out. Anyway, the first step I'm going to take on all 4 of these is get them through the blast cabinet and as clean as possible. Then I'm going to degrease it, and then I'll show you how to mix up this very simple solution and set up your own plating process. My cheap cabinet isn't sealed too well, so I like to pull it outside to blast, just because a little bit of dust comes out of the sides. All right, so that came out nice and clean. The metal condition's really good. There's no pitting. It's just nice raw steel now. So let's go ahead and get this into the electroplating process. It takes about 40 minutes for each piece, so while this one's cooking, I'll go ahead and sandblast the rest of the parts. So I already have my zinc electrolyte mixture already put together, but I wanted to show you how easy it is to do. So I thought I'd go through a quick demonstration in just a glass. I'm using a much larger glass container because obviously there's not too many pieces that I could get in here, although I could do a bolt or something small. But all you're going to need is, again, some type of container, regular white vinegar that you probably have under the counter, regular table salt. You need a power supply, and like me, you guys probably have lots of these. This is 5 volts at 1 amp. You want to be about an amp or less. And I just have, let's see, alligator clips here on the end for positive and negative. And then the only thing that I didn't have that I had to buy were these pieces of zinc that I got on Amazon for, again, I think it was around $10. But these, again, only things that I didn't actually already have in my house. So the first thing we need to do is make the zinc electrolyte mixture. And to do that, you fill your container with the white vinegar. I don't think you actually need the salt. The salt helps the conductivity of the liquid and makes everything go quicker. For the larger, I think 70-ounce container I used 2 tablespoons of salt. Again, just for demonstration, I'll dab a few in there. Then these pieces, they come straight, but I bent them into a little curve so that they'll hook on the ends. And then plug in your power supply. For making the mixture, it doesn't matter. You can connect either side. So bringing it in close here, you can see that the negative side, and I actually have positive and negative identified on mine, but if you weren't sure, this is how you can tell. Here on the negative side, bubbles are coming off of it. So you let it sit here for about 2 hours, and then the mixture will be ready to start the electroplating process. And also just something to be mindful of, the bubbles, I believe the gas that's coming out is hydrogen. Hydrogen is non-toxic, but as everybody knows, it's highly flammable. In this small quantity, I can't imagine it's a problem anywhere, but make sure you're in a well-ventilated area when you're doing anything like this. You should also probably be wearing gloves and glasses, although again, it's vinegar and salt. So again, this is just to demonstrate how to make the mixture. So this is my mixture that's already been prepared and I've already done a couple of experiments on so far. The nice thing about this glass container is that it comes with this rubber lined top. So when I'm done with it, I can seal it up and use it again whenever I want. Again, this mixture shouldn't go bad. It's something that I can use indefinitely. So having something where I can just reuse it instead of having to remix when I want to do it is a nice feature. Once the mixture is complete, that is having both pieces in at the same time to create the electrolytes, the process of plating will actually have both of these pieces be positive, and then the negative terminal of your power supply is connected to the piece that you're plating with zinc in this case. And so I just have some chopsticks, and I love chopsticks. I use them for almost every project. I have some copper wire. You need to have copper that dangles into the solution to hold the bolt across. And then I can connect the negative lead to the copper and a positive lead to both sides. I'll just use an extra set of alligator clips to connect both of the pieces of zinc, and then just connect the positive terminal to one of the sides so that both of the pieces of zinc are positive, and then again the negative terminal to the copper that'll be holding the part. So for my rear bracket that's clean and blasted, I'm just going to spray some brake cleaner on it, and we'll get it into the solution. All right, and so again, the positive terminal goes to the outside, so I'm just going to use these. So I'm just going to use this alligator clip to connect both sides. And then the positive lead I'll connect to one side, which will then have positive across both. I'll set my piece down so that it's fully submerged, and connect the negative terminal to the copper. And immediately we're seeing bubbles. So this is now electroplating. We just sit here and wait. Again, about 30 or 40 minutes, it should be good to go. And make sure that you're moving the piece that's in the solution a few times during the process. One, to make sure that the pieces of copper that are holding it in place aren't covered, but also just the different angles, I think, helps get a more even coating. Anyway, I've got the other pieces sandblasted. They're all in pretty good condition. This one has a little bit of pitting. This bolt looks absolutely perfect. And this engine holder has a little bit of pitting, but nothing too bad. And again, once it's coated, it should be nice and protected from the elements. I'm sure there's a relationship between how much voltage and amperage and amount of solution can coat how many pieces, but I am just going to wing it and try to do two pieces at the same time. The rear brace actually is starting to look pretty good. It's getting that dark gray color, but I'm going to go ahead and put this exhaust bracket on in the same time and see if it can do both. Okay, both seem to be bubbling. We'll give it some time and see how they turn out. All right, so I've got the bolts in the solution right now, but these parts came out really well. You can see that there's a dark gray tint to them now. That is the color of zinc. So I've got both the bracket as well as the rear holder for the hub. There's some discoloration here. I'm not sure what that is, but I'm going to dry this up and give it a light polish, and should come out looking pretty good. I've got the two bolts cooking in the solution right now. All right, so they came out pretty good. This is the bracket after some light polishing with the wheel. Again, it's only a couple of microns thick of zinc that got put on here, so you don't want to polish it too hard. But I was really just looking for that satin finish. I'm not looking for a high luster. And again, the quality came out great, particularly compared to what it looked like before we went through the sandblasting and then the zinc plating process. The bracket for the exhaust also came out looking really good. There's a little bit of damage to it, but honestly, overall, it looks really good. And then these two bolts, the engine bolts, this one looks fantastic. Again, I just did a very light polishing with the wheel, but it came out looking really good. This one, there's a little bit of pitting that is here and here, although both of those are going to be inside the frame, or rather inside the engine itself when it's mounted to the frame. So I probably will be using these bolts on my build. Actually, for the 1969 silver tag, I won't be using this. This is the one that was used on the bikes after the silver tag, and I have, like I mentioned earlier in the video, a lead on some original silver tag parts, so I think I'll be using the flat one. I'm just doing testing with this one as I try to figure the process out. All right, so hopefully that was useful information to you and something that you can do for the bolts that you've got in your garage for the builds that you guys are doing at home. If it was helpful, please take an opportunity to like this video, and if you're new to the channel, please subscribe. This is only the second time that I've tried plating something with zinc, so I'm obviously very new to the process. If you have some tips or suggestions for me on how I can do this better, or additional steps I could take, or different ways to do it even, please throw in the comments below. Again, I'm trying to get this method perfected. I've got tons of bolts, buckets of CT70 bolts that I would love to bring to a lustre like this. Obviously, what I'm doing now is on a very low production scale, only a couple of bolts at a time. But for that silver tag bike that I'm going to get building here pretty soon, I'm not going to mind putting that much attention into each bolt, although I think I will invest in a rock tumbler or a vibration device. Josh at JE Vintage has a video on how to use a roller to polish all the rust off the bolts first. I'll link that in the description below because I think I'll build an apparatus like that as I try to scale this up. But again, if you've got suggestions on how to do this process better, let me know. Anyway, thank you everybody for watching. Stay tuned for more videos and keep on building.